Now, before you fall in love with that adorable puppy face, I need to tell you about Nabucco. He's my German Shepherd who I adopted at age 9 months on Friday the 13th, 2020, and I adopted him from his former owner. Now, I found out from the paperwork that was left with me that I turned out to be his 5th owner in 9 months. 4 different families gave up on this beautiful dog because they had no idea what they were getting into. So hello and welcome to the Pup Mommy channel. Today I'm taking you through 8 critical yes or no questions from my ebook, To Puppy or Not to Puppy, that will help you decide if you're really truly ready for this commitment. And by the end you'll know exactly whether you're ready because I'm going to be also sharing how to get personalized help if you need it. So don't let what happened to Nabucco happen to you. Don't be a statistic. So let's get started. Question number 1. Are you ready for a baby? And I kid you not. You know, when people think of a puppy, they think of that 8-week-old, 9-week-old little fluff ball. But you know what? Puppies can still be puppies when they're 9 months of age, a year, at 12 months, 18 months, even some breeds to 2 years before that 18, after that 18-month, that adolescent phase kicks in, and they revert to being puppies all over again. Now, you're bringing home a 4-legged baby, and this little 4-legged baby, just like a little toddler, is going to keep you up all night many times, and probably you're going to have to need eyes 24/7 around your head for supervision. And just like with children and little babies, they're going to need crates, they're going to need exercise pens, they're going to need little baby gates, to protect your furnishings from all over the house. And you'll need to puppy-proof everything because you're going to need eyes all 360 around your head. And how you treat that puppy in the first few months of its life stays with them forever. So, are you ready for a baby? Yes or no? And here we go to question number 2. Does everyone want this puppy? You know, unless you live alone, everyone in your household must be 100% on board. No reservations. You know, YouTube is full of "it's me or the dog" episodes. And I can tell you that, it's happened because a family skipped this very important conversation. And also parents, no matter what your children tell you, you will be the primary caregiver for these puppies. You're going to be the one getting up at 2 a.m. You're going to be the one doing the cleanup. You're going to be the one doing the feeding and the walking. And, on top of that, too, if you are someone who happens to be in a relationship and you two are talking about a dog, have the uncomfortable conversation also about what happens to the dog if things go south. All right. So this is because owning a puppy is, depending on the breed, is a 10 to 20 year commitment. Moving on to question 3. Do you know what breed is right for you? Because remember Nabucco's story. His previous owner gave up on him because he was too big. And my German Shepherds, well, right now my German Shepherds in general have weighed anywhere between 80 to 95 pounds. And that's a thigh-high roadblock when you're trying to maneuver around in this house. So ask yourself also, why do you want a dog? Is it companionship? Is it a hiking buddy? Is it just, an exercise buddy? And keep in mind, too, also that, the AKC has 7 breed groups. And the groups contain breeds that are there because they're bred for different functions. And so consider energy levels, temperament, and whether or not you can meet the dog's needs. For example, can you lift an 80-pound dog into a car if it's injured? Happened to me with my Olympia. It was 11:30 on Saturday night, and I had to heave. It took me 25 minutes to get her into the car because she collapsed right in front of the door. And also research breed and specific issues, I should say, health issues, hip dysplasia, heart problems, cancer, because these problems can cost thousands of dollars later in vet bills. So if you're feeling overwhelmed trying to figure out which breed fits your lifestyle, I help people navigate through these kinds of personal decisions all the time with personalized consultations. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a few minutes. Moving on to question number 4. Do you have a training plan for your dog? Now, here's a sobering statistic. 96% of dogs owner surrendered received no training. So you need a training plan before you bring the dog home. And there is a few, the first few months of a puppy's life probably the most, I'm going to want to say that the first few months of a puppy's life are probably his most formative. So you want to be sure that you get this right. Now, some breeds can handle group classes at Petco, PetSmart, but guardian breeds, working breeds, high energy breeds, they need that specialized professional help from trainers with deep experience in these breeds. And when you think about it, when I walk my 2 German Shepherds, that's 175 pounds of pulling power right there. And also keep in mind, if your dog bites somebody, that's a huge liability. And it can be a crushing liability as well. Your dog could be euthanized and you could be facing a lawsuit. Now, moving on to question 5. Are you ready for lifestyle changes? Puppy proofing isn't just the obvious stuff. My 12-week-old little Chipper ate a nylon stocking off my floor. What happened was emergency surgery, thousands of dollars in vet bills, and pure stress that could have been prevented. Keep in mind that everything goes into a puppy's mouth, the Legos, the socks, the twist ties. You're going to need to gate off rooms and completely change how you use your home, how you live. And if you can't hear or see your puppy, that usually means they're into something. And it won't be the something you're going to like. Now, moving on to question 6. Do you have the time and emotional commitment for a puppy? Because, puppies are like teenagers with smartphones. They're always on. They're going to nudge you during calls, conference calls at work. They're going to sit by the door looking forlorn until you let them out. And they're going to develop that habit of, let me out so I can come in again. Let me in so I can go out again. You're going to need time for vet visits, grooming, training. You're going to need socialization time, walking time. In fact, you're basically going to need constant supervision. So every time you leave, you're always going to be checking that watch to make sure, am I home in time to make sure he gets out? Am I going to get home in time so he can feed the dog? You're going to be doing this. And the real test, though, is emotional, too. It's an emotional commitment. I view my dogs as family. And when they hurt, I hurt. And I've lost 6 dogs in 12 years. I've been at the emergency vet at 2 a.m. in the morning on New Year's Eve because my dogs came first. The other thing you have to think about, too, can you handle cleaning up when the dog has an accident and throws up on your sofa? Or when it's sick and has diarrhea on the floor? These are not nice things to think about, but it's Realsville. You have to make the difficult decision about sometimes whether you're going to do an expensive surgery that your dog needs versus a family vacation. So if you're thinking, this is why I need professional help choosing the right dog, well, you're not alone, because I work with families and people just like you every week who realize that getting the right dog prevents years of challenges. Now, question 7, we got 2 more. Question 7 is, are you ready for the maintenance and potential costly repairs of owning a dog, owning a puppy? Every dog sheds to some extent, and I don't care what the internet says. You're going to need a good vacuum. You may possibly be using it daily. There's also the constant cleaning of the bowls, the bedding, the mud tracks, the nose prints on the floor, on the windows, also the hair in your car. I've also had, where I live, I've had dogs skunked 3 times. And one time, the skunk was under my deck, and I had to run an ozone machine for 2 weeks to get the stench out. And then also there's the chewing phase, the furniture, the stair risers, car seat belts. Even though you do your best to provide that supervision, there are times when you just simply are going to miss things. So, are you prepared for the costly repairs of owning a puppy and a dog? And finally, we come down to question number 8. Can you afford the expense of a dog? According to Rover.com, annual costs can range anywhere from $1,390 for small breeds all the way up to $5,200 for the large and giant breeds. Now, these are 2025 costs, and they're entirely subjective based on the breed, where you shop, and of course your generosity with toys and accessories and everything else. But yet, at the same time, do the math, because over a 10 to 20 year lifespan, this stuff really adds up. In conclusion here, what I'm trying to do is I'm not trying to scare you about owning a puppy. I'm trying to give you a dose of what I call Realsville. You know, my dogs have brought me a great deal of joy, but I want you to go into possibly getting a puppy, getting a dog with your eyes wide open. Now, if you answered yes to most of all of these questions, 8 questions with complete honesty and full family support, well, then you might be ready for this wonderful journey. But if I made you pause, that's exactly what I was supposed to do. If you'd like to explore these questions more in depth, what I'm going to do is I'll leave a link to my ebook in the description section. It's available on Amazon in paperback, Kindle, and Audible. And I actually think it's a win-win situation for you and the puppy if you wait until you're truly prepared. And so, what question were you surprised by most? Did I leave anything out? Let me know in the comments section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for some more honest pet advice. I will say thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.